Welcome to the Firebelly Social Show. We're focused on talking to food and beverage brands that are on a mission to make the world better.
Hey, it's Duncan here again with another episode of the Firebelly Social Show, and I'm your host, and we're joined by Arnell, my co-host. What's up, Arnell?
What's up?
Hey, at the Firebelly Social Show, we shine our lights on CEOs and founders of mission-driven food and beverage agencies. And it's always fun to talk to these folks. They're a special breed. They're resilient. They're passionate. They're driven as hell. And they're just really people who are out to change the world. And I'm particularly happy today to have Marc with us. Marc, is it Marc Sampogna?
There you go. Good job.
Oh, Italian, baby, right?
Right. That's right.
All right. Ciao, Marc. Welcome to the show. Marc is a certified badass. I mean, not only is he running one of the top brand design agencies in the company, the Canopy Brand Group, but he's also an entrepreneur with his own beverage startup, and they're doing really well. So welcome, Marc.
Thank you. Ciao, Duncan. Ciao, Arnell. Nice to see you. Nice to meet you. Great to be here.
All right. Well, tell us a story. Like, where did it start? I don't want to spend a ton of time on that because that story is out there, but let's just set it for our audience. How did it all start? How did you get going on this?
Yeah, I mean, so it's interesting in terms of how the world works. I mean, it was almost 15 years ago when I started Canopy, and we were in the middle of a recession. Okay. So we're not in the middle of a recession yet, and hopefully we're not going to be, but the times obviously always go around in a cycle. So for me, it was really about kind of launching something that was a full service branding agency that focused on food and beverage, focused on brands that we can kind of bring to market with a very unique message. We've expanded our scope of clients and the industries that we work in, but food and beverage is a very sweet spot for us. And we worked with all types of brands doing things for Pepsi, Starbucks, to name some of the big guys, all the way down to medium level and startups. So as a company, we're always looking to kind of do something different. And, for us, we get approached a lot about starting new ventures, being a part of startups, things of that nature. So we decided we should start our own venture, group inside of the company where we can start our own brands and build our own brands based on the knowledge and expertise that we have working with other clients, right? So that's kind of where we kind of brought ourselves to today. So, we're based on the East and West Coast, New York and California. I'm in cold New York. My partner is in warm Laguna Beach, California. And, we have a few people, we have our team scattered across both coasts as well as some in between. Since the pandemic, we kind of made a lot of stuff remote. And like I said, we focused on brand and brand message and bringing that to the market with like visual design across all different touch points. Yeah. So
you're doing this for startups, you're doing this for medium-sized companies, you're doing it for big companies. So you have this kind of unique understanding of all the different stages of the life cycle. And then one day you decide like, hey, drinking it up is probably getting less. Is that how it all started with your own beverage?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where, we kind of fell into it, to be honest. It wasn't on our radar. It was like, someday we could totally launch our own beverage line and we could probably create the brand that we love and we could do anything we want with it, right? Because, working with clients, there's so many different levels of people getting involved and, sometimes huge, big ideas get killed before they get to the top and they go to market. So for us, it was like, okay, so we see an opportunity here. We love coconut water. If we were to do a beverage, what would it be? That was the one. And, what would be the narrative? What would be the positioning of it? And for us, it was about creating something that was a narrative around positivity and purpose. And it was really an inclusivity as well, right? Because when we launched in 2020, which is the start of the pandemic, great time to launch a new.
Of course.
We were like, okay, how are we going to do this? But we started online. but we always started with the brand, and we were like, all right, how do we create something that is different? I mean, there's a million other brands out there. There's a lot of competition in the coconut water space per se. But no one was really kind of leading with that message. And for us, it was near and dear to us, just in terms of, the feeling of being able to give back, on so many different levels. And, we had done something within the agency, probably about like 7 or 8 years ago. It was a program called Spark, and it stood for Smart, Powerful, and Remarkable Kids. And it was basically, we brought kids from the inner city, and we brought a panel of young entrepreneurs or professionals that could talk to them on a panel and speak to them one-on-one about what it took to be successful, right? And what, their path. And they're from all different industries. And we had many sponsors that came in, and I'm telling you, like, we did it at the Art Directors Club in New York City. The turnout was huge, and the feeling was even bigger. Honestly, it was like, why can't we do more of this? And time is always the answer, right? Like, how do we, we don't have enough time to do it. So why not create a brand where, as a, effect or collateral effect of, the brand itself, it gives back. So the coconut water, Once Upon a Coconut, was created with that in mind. And, we partner with different charities, we partner with schools, with different programs. I just got off the phone literally with a soccer team, a not-for-profit soccer club that wants us to be their lead sponsor. And, things like that, where we can kind of bring that message of purpose and positivity and inclusivity to whoever is consuming or engaging with our brand on any level, right? So, and it allows us to kind of get our hand in that message get that message into consumers and people's hands and in a different way. And, it's been great. It's been extremely time consuming and very challenging and exciting. Learning a little bit more about the food and beverage space, and like from manufacturing, logistics, supply chain, all that stuff that incredibly challenging. But, the operational side, like learning all the ins and outs, kind of on the fly, to be honest, like with the brands that we work with on the agency side, as I mentioned, we're not in that side of the business. We're working with marketing and branding and design and those types of people, whereas like all that other stuff we don't really see. And now we're exposed to it, and it's been an incredible learning experience, but it's been more exciting to get the product out there and the message out there too.
That's phenomenal. I mean, two parts. I mean, I know, Arnell, you got something to say here too, but two parts of it. First, to like build the organization around something different, and not just in terms of the taste or the positioning, but also like wanting to make a change, be a part of the genetics of the organization, right? Mm-hmm. And then the second part is the fact that as a food and beverage agency, you're involved with the ops side and the distribution side. How's that changed? How has that changed your approach to beverage or food work, knowing that whole ops side of things?
It just makes us sound a lot smarter when we speak to clients.
Right? I mean, that's what I'm thinking. It's like you understand a whole lot more than the average agency does.
Yeah, way more. I mean, the knowledge around all these different areas like distribution, operations, like all that stuff. And it's valuable in this conversation. I mean, like we literally landed a new client in the beverage space last year. And we're speaking, directly with their C-suite about like what they want to do and what we can help them with. But also just during that conversation, dropping little hints about how smart we are in the space, and like talking about those things gives them confidence, right? About like, oh my God, these guys, there's no learning curve here. They get our industry, they get our space, they know how things work, not just from a marketing perspective, but also the other side, operations and distribution and whatnot. So it's really valuable from that perspective. And, I mean, it's not necessarily something like we go out there to the market, like from a marketing perspective, say, hey, we're Canopy, and we don't just know design and branding. We also know operations and this, because we're not selling that service, but it's good to have that knowledge base because, it all impacts the growth of beverage companies and brands.
Wow. I mean, I could clearly see how that would be a huge advantage. Now let's talk about the product a little bit. It's where are you sourcing the coconuts? How actively involved with that are you? You get to go to cool places and drink coconut water?
Great question. So we source our coconut water from Vietnam. And, what we did was we really searched the entire globe for like the best tasting product. And for us, like if you've tried coconut water, the immediate kind of feedback that you get is like, obviously it's good for you, but it tastes chalky, it tastes bland. It doesn't not flavorful. And what we learned was there's so many different variations of coconuts. I mean, there's mature coconuts, there's young coconuts, there's brown coconuts, there's green coconuts. And we found that not only was the best tasting coconut derived from the young Hamona, the green coconut, it was also came out of the Far East in Asia. And in Vietnam, they have a very specific climate, the soil, all the different things that come into play produce this incredible tasting product, honestly. And we did blind taste tests across the board of brands that are in market, as well as multiple manufacturers around the globe. And we landed ourselves in Vietnam, which is actually like the fifth or sixth largest manufacturer distributor of coconut water in the world. We basically landed ourselves there and, found the opportunity to really kind of like package this product in this slim aluminum can, make it very stylish, make it very user-friendly for the consumer, as opposed to a Tetra Pak or a bottle, which doesn't have good recycling kind of sustainability message, bring it to market with really cool design that gets kind of people engaged in a different way. So we want to win on all those levels, right? So but it brought us to Vietnam, just outside of Ho Chi Minh City. I don't pick the coconuts myself. We have a team of farmers out there that, they have two methods of getting the coconut water. They use these poles that kind of grab them directly out of the trees, which is really cool. Or to be honest, they actually climb the trees, which is pretty cool. So, we harvest them, we do all that stuff. No animals are used in, the process, which is something we make very clear. We have a great team over there that, does everything from, sourcing the best coconuts from the harvest, to bringing them in to, putting them in our can and getting into people's hands.
Very cool. I'm kind of curious, what made you do coconut water? So I know you're big into health and wellness and lifestyle, but when you were thinking, putting your own beverage brand out there, what were some of the other things you considered? And then what made you decide on coconut water?
Yeah, I mean, having worked with, coffee brands, carbonated soft drinks, water. I mean, I've worked in other juice brands. Like I worked on Tropicana for years. It was one of those things where, what are the products like that I do consume from a beverage perspective? And, there's water, and then there was coconut water just because of all the health benefits, as you mentioned, that it brought. And also, to be honest, like the opportunity of wow, you could really do something different in this space from a product perspective, because, and I'll give you an example. Right now we have 2 products in market. We're about to have 4 products in market in the next month. We have a 100% pure coconut water, which tastes phenomenal. We have a sparkling coconut water with clean energy and caffeine. So we started to create these new blends in the space because of the functional element and aspect of an opportunity in the market. Because, doing just a coconut water isn't necessarily going to win. I mean, I can't even count how many coconut waters there are out there. But doing something different. So the sparkling plus clean energy is the first of its kind. And we said, okay, if we're going to pick a category where we can focus on health and wellness as well as functional benefits for that, living a healthy lifestyle, what would it be? And coconut water was the opportunity, was the area that we selected. So, we are introducing new products in the next couple months that are super exciting, that kind of live up to that same kind of, mission where, we're coming out with coconut water with pineapple, which is great. The fruit blends, those are going to be good because we have other fruits that have different health benefits, right? Antioxidants, heart health, immune health. We're coming out with one with mango. We're coming out with a coconut water with chocolate more for kids.
Okay.
Which is a great market, honestly, because my daughter, who's 6.5, loves the coconut water. And I let her drink some of it. I don't let her drink too much of it because there's natural sugar in there. And, I want her bouncing off the walls. The coconut water chocolate, I mean, if you ever had like a Mounds bar or an Almond Joy or something like that, they just go together, right? Coconut and chocolate go well together. So this product that we created is very, what's the word? Let's see. What's the word where something is very good? It's like a dessert, right? Decadent.
Yes.
Very decadent. And, it's just something that's different. Now, the health benefits, there's certainly health benefits from the cocoa tree and the cocoa plant and stuff like that. But we're also introducing coconut water with espresso. That's the adult version. So all these different walks of life, but healthy, right? And we have other things down the line. Like we're gonna launch a coconut water with 0 sugar. We're gonna launch a coconut water, maybe that's something that has more mental and cognitive benefits and things like that. So that's kind of the reasoning and like the roadmap, if you will, of what we're thinking for the rollout of this brand.
That's phenomenal. I mean, clearly, the two things that come to mind are the layers of work that go into running your own beverage brand. I mean, whether it's like doing press, and you guys seem to be in the press a lot. Arnell and I saw that there are editors from Food Network that said that it's the best tasting coconut water. I mean, we're hearing from people that focus on taste. About that, it's USDA organic. It just seems like, damn, there is like one thing after another that has to be done or worked on to stay ahead. And then there's the innovation piece. How do you keep it together?
It's hard, man. It's hard. I mean, it's a balancing act, honestly. There's so many different things. I mean, between running the agency, thankfully I have my partner on that, running this brand. And I have great partners there as well. And we have an incredible team that kind of just gets stuff done, which is great. The heavy lift is always at the beginning. Is like, we got to create the brand. We got to get this thing in market. Then, it's like, I tell my clients, it's like, hey, we can build you a Ferrari, but we got to give you keys to be able to take it out on the road. Right. So now we're out on the road and now it's about kind of making it go fast. Right. So we're just continuing to bring in people that can help us like get that out there, get the message out there, partner with certain companies that can do the same thing, working with distributors to make sure that we get it into key markets and key stores where consumers can really engage with it. Doing press, right? I mean, that's been big, like Food Network, Women's Health. We were rated like top coconut waters and we've only been in market for like 2 years, which is fantastic, right? So that means we're winning on taste and brand and people like it. And we've seen, once we've seen repeat, which is incredible. Like when you have consumers that buy it once and they just keep coming back, right? They just keep, which is like, okay, we got a good product. We've proven it in the first year and 2 years that we got a great product, a great brand. And now we're really just about putting our marketing efforts behind it. Like the first year and a half, to be honest, 2 years, was just getting it up and running and out there. And last year we took our first dip into retail. We're working with the biggest distributor in New York, in pretty much in the country, Big Geyser. And, if you can nail it in New York, especially with them, you can pretty much nail it and write your ticket in any market. So we're still kind of in the early stages of that. We're not even a year in, but we've been seeing incredible growth there. So working with partners like that, working with my partners that I have inside the company. And, but it's constantly like, it's evergreen, right? It's constantly changing. Like literally 2 weeks ago, we were like, oh, let's do something for Super Bowl. Cool. We partnered with a couple players in the Super Bowl, and they're going to be doing a big announcement this week. Just things kind of come on the fly, but that's what happens in the startup, right? You got to be scrappy, come up with new ideas on the fly and last minute, versus not everything is pre-baked and calculated. So, but it's a lot. And, but I've been able to thankfully have some great people working with me that kind of can manage and, a lot of the load.
Awesome. Arnell, what do you got?
Yeah, so I think that's awesome. It's really cool. Where can people find your brand? So Once Upon a Coconut, in what stores, or are you just doing it online?
So we are both online and at retail. So online, we're on Amazon, we're on our website, onceuponacoconut.com, social media at Once Upon a Coconut. So folks that are just buy everything digitally and online, there you go. From a store perspective, we are in retail all over New York. That means Manhattan, Brooklyn, Long Island, the Bronx, Queens, Staten Island, Westchester. I mean, we're all over New York. We are in we are in Florida and South Florida. We're just rolling out there. We have some presence we're in the Hard Rock in Florida. We're rolling out to a lot of specialty stores. Las Vegas, we'd had a deal with Resorts World out there. We're in the Resorts World. So and we kind of find ourselves like popping up a little bit everywhere, but at the same time, like right now we're in these specialty locations, so more like mom and pop shops, things like that. We're hoping in the next year that we start to open up some bigger retailers like Publix and Whole Foods and Albertsons and Target and CVS. That's a big goal for us, and once we get there, then we can kind of breathe a sigh of relief. But I think because we're not everywhere from a retail perspective, outside of New York, the best place is to try it online. And, we have we're very firm on our satisfaction guarantee. So, it's really tricky to buy a new product online, to buy a case, right, of 12 of a product you've never tried. So in New York, it's easy. You go to the store, if you buy one can and you love it, you go online, you buy a case. Right. Now, online, it's like, okay, this brand looks really cool. I want to try it, but I'm a little bit hesitant to spend whatever, $25 on a case when I don't know if I'm going to like it. Right. So we're always like, listen, if you do not like it, we will 100% refund your money. Don't send us the product back because that's a pain. Keep it. Give it to whoever else you want if you don't like it, but we'll send you your money back because we are so confident in the taste, honestly. And I can tell you from that perspective, like, I don't even know how small the number is in terms of refunds and returns. It's got to be 1% of sales, honestly, where like we've gotten like, hey, I got the product, I don't like it, whether it's on Amazon or our website. And, we're like, okay, we'll give you your money back. That's fine. Mm-hmm. So that's, we're very confident in that. So, people want to buy it online. You can hit me, hit me up directly, but you can hit us up if you don't like it and we'll give you your money back. But I'm pretty sure you'll like it.
So I wanted to ask about, like clearly, I mean, you are a brand guy, and what role? I mean, it's hard to build a brand, right? It may be easy to sell things, but it's difficult to build a brand. And I know we're all on the same sheet of music, but I got to hear it from you. I mean, you're the guy. Tell us, how important a role does the brand play itself, and just any thoughts on that? We're dying to know.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly do believe it's the most important thing. I really do, because anybody who has a little bit of money can launch, a product, honestly, but that product isn't going to do anything in the market unless A, it's something you've never seen before, or B, it's got a killer brand and story behind it, honestly. I mean, and I always look at like other brands that have kind of owned something and a message in the market, and they sell something besides, the actual product, and I call it like category one branding. So I look at like, Starbucks, like what are they selling? They're not selling coffee, guys. They're selling community, and they're selling that sense of community, right? You look at Coca-Cola, right? They're not selling carbonated soft drinks. They're selling happiness. They're selling optimism, right? Pepsi, they're selling entertainment and culture, right? It just so happens that they have a product that people like, right? But they are in the culture, right? So from a brand perspective, that's how I always think about it. Like, what are we selling? Coconut water, great. We got to have a product that's great. But you got to have the brand message and that point of view that is different that nobody else can own, right? And for us, Once Upon a Coconut is like a story, right? It's a narrative around. So that's where the name derived from, right? It's a story, and it's fun. It's playful. It's engaging. And from, people that are, 50 plus to all the way down to kids that are my daughter's age, right? It's like, Once Upon a Coconut. It's, it connects with us on a universal level, but also that sense of like positivity and purpose, right? So that's what we own. And from anybody that's launching a brand, that's where you should always start. It's like, all right, I got a really cool idea for a new product. Great. That's the product. Now I got to really figure out like, what is that brand and what's that story? Because otherwise that product's not going to go. And so branding is critical.
Super cool. Super cool. Now, just kind of a related question. You guys, obviously your social is on it. You're getting all kinds of cool things out on social. Couple part question. I'm like killing it on the couple parts today. What role do creators play in general today versus all brand content? And then kind of the follow up is on the UGC side. Where are you seeing UGC going in beverage marketing?
Yeah, it's been a really interesting kind of ride, and that space is very kind of, it's hot and cold, right? I mean, it's like, we work with influencers and creators and, consumers creating content and things like that. I think the best type of content is UGC because, it's kind of unbiased, unguided. You get like organic, real natural reactions and feedback. And that's kind of like the best. It's just like when you're going to buy something on Amazon, you always look at the reviews, right? It's like, you see like, does this have 4+ stars and, great reviews? Is it, highly rated, all that stuff? Then it gives me more confidence to buy it. So like from a content perspective, when we can get consumers to kind of provide their testimonials to support how great the product is, that's always the biggest feather in our cap, because people trust their peers, right? When it comes to influencers, little bit more of a tighter rope to walk because not every influencer is appealing to everybody. So we have to be very specific and prescriptive about who we partner with. So we do partner with folks that carry the same message, like purpose and mission driven, are in a space that requires hydration. So sports, physical fitness, things like that. But also are a nice organic fit for our brand and are just good people. We don't just pay people just to kind of, put posts out there and see where it goes, because we don't believe that that's the recipe for success. And then from a content creation perspective, we do the majority of all of our content. We create all of our content. And that, obviously we do work with some folks that create their own for us, but we give them very, kind of guidelines that we want them to kind of stick to, but we also want it to feel kind of organic. But the content we create, we feel is very artistic, but that whole thing is very subjective. I mean, everyone's got their own taste in what type of content they want to consume, right? Like a coconut water, like launching into outer space and an astronaut grabbing it and drinking it might be cool to some people. Some other people might think it's silly, right? And they're not going to engage with it. Or we have a UFC fighter on our roster that might promote it and that promotes it. And, he not everyone loves UFC, right? So, there's a fine kind of line we have to walk there. But it's just more about kind of repetition and making sure that our message is consistent. As long as our message is consistent around that narrative around purpose and positivity through influencers, UGC, or us creating the content, I think we're in good shape. As soon as it starts to go off script, then we have to pull the plug on that.
Marc, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and experience with us. Wondered one last question. What would you say to someone like us, early in the beverage consideration space, wanting to go down that road? What's a piece of advice you'd give to, early stage beverage entrepreneurs?
I can give you a few bits of advice. For one, have and find great partners. And that's always from the inside out, right? From the people that are going to be on that team, and really define your lanes, like marketing, operations, sales, this, that, and the other. Really define it, but have a unified front across the board. And, and then as that also goes for the partners that you have externally, right? So partnering with really smart people, whether it's, other digital marketers or experts or PR or what have you. I think PR is a big piece. Sampling is critical, right? So you should say in the first 6 months, if you have X amount of product, you should earmark 25% of that for sampling just to get it into people's hands. Because once they try it, and they like it, they're going to share it. You start to create a demand. They're going to follow you and all that stuff. So really trying to get the product into people's hands the best way you can. And then the rest, as I mentioned, is is marketing and sales driven beyond that. I mean, but have a good bankroll too. That's key.
I've heard that one. It's a slog.
Yeah. You need a good bankroll and manage it wisely. Don't overspend on things you don't need to. And what happens a lot in the start of these companies is there's so many ideas floating around. You just want to do everything. Oh, that's cool. Let's do that. Take a step back and say, okay, let's do this. Let's take our time. Let's do this first. Let's do this second. And then as we see the growth, then we can start building and building, because what happens is you drive yourself crazy and you burn through capital. So take time when it comes to launching, pick your spots when it comes to marketing, and get the product in people's hands.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was really great.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys. I appreciate the time.
Arnell, you got the message?
Of course. Yes. So closing out, just want to thank everybody for tuning in to the latest episode of the Firebelly Social Show. We totally had a great time talking with Marc today. This episode is brought to you, of course, by Firebelly Marketing. And at Firebelly, we help mission-based food and beverage brands bring people closer through social media marketing. So if you're ready to use social media to create more community and excitement around your food or beverage brand, go to firebellymarketing.com to learn more.
Thanks, Arnell. So, Marc, thank you so much. And for everyone, remember, Once Upon a Coconut, that's pretty much, I think, other than Twitter, it's Once Upon a Coconut everywhere. On Twitter, it's Drink the Legend. So check it out, onceuponacoconut.com. And we're going to be drinking it soon, so we're excited. So again, thank you, Marc. And we look forward to seeing you guys on the flip side.
Thanks for listening to the Firebelly Social Show. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.